Right, so we have loaded in and we are on Zelnaga Caverns. Welcome. We do have Cats as the light blue light blue Zerg in the top right corner, excuse me. And his opponent, once this intro goes away, is going to be ThisIsJimmy in the bottom left as the purple Terran. So thanks everybody for tuning in. That was not supposed to happen. Sorry, I've got way too many windows open. Do need to say real quick, maybe. Sorry, technical difficulties. Can you take over for a second while I have to fix this? Yeah, there we go. I finally got everything in order. Sorry about that. I just have way too many windows open. So just needed to say real quick that this matchup of the Root Gaming Success Pays Invitational is brought to you by Kingston's HyperX H20 line of memory cards. Kingston's line of memory cards is a reliable memory ideal for extreme gamers and PC enthusiasts. The HyperX H20 is designed to deliver high speeds and extreme performance. It features a unique extreme cooling option that uses liquid to dissipate heat. Like all HyperX memory, H20 is backed up by a lifetime warranty, 24/7 tech support, and legendary Kingston reliability. Check out this fantastic gaming line of products at kingston.com. Help support Kingston, who's supporting this tournament.
Well said. As Kingston, as you guys know, have been around the gaming community for years, putting on many different events. So special thanks to them for coming out and supporting us. So please, if you guys get a chance, next time you're building that new computer, consider the Kingston brand of memory because they are just awesome. And it looks like we're going to get into it as KatZ is setting up his spawning pool. Obviously going for fast expands first. That hatchery is almost done. The hatchery was done on 14. Spawning pool is just completing now. He's just started gas collection, so he will be getting onto his speedlings as quickly as possible. We can see a Reaper coming out for ThisIsJimmy, so he's going to use that Reaper opening to get a good scouting out. Probably get a little bit of harassment as well. And a bunker going down just outside ROOTCatZ base there. Of course, he can see just the edge of the bunker, so he is getting his spine crawler set up. It's going to be an interesting to see if he can get those Zerglings out. The drones are moving into position right now, going to try to disrupt the building of the bunker. This Reaper is going to get free shots on some of the drones here as the Zerglings come out, so that bunker is going to get finished. Jimmy getting good timing there. Getting the Reaper into the bunker is going to be awesome. There's one Zergling falls already. The Reaper has 2 kills, picks up another one just now, so he's going to be getting back into that bunker. So a little bit of hopscotch here as the Reaper until that Spine Crawler gets up. The Spine Crawler will be able to outrange the bunkered Reaper, I believe. So KatZ is moving that into position right now, and that is getting pegged actually by the position that KatZ putting it in. So this bunker's under heavy harassment. SCV's coming in, a second Reaper coming in. So ThisIsJimmy is doing a great opening harass here. 2 Reapers in the bunker, taking out the Spine Crawler. All the Zerglings are down. One more SCV falls down. The Queen's taking awesome damage from these Reapers in the bunkers, but they are not able to keep up. The Queen is forced to back up, not able to kill the bunker, and just has to unload now.
But the Reapers do unload from the bunker in order to snipe that Queen. The bunker was burning down, so KatZ thought that he would just leave it. But another SV has come in for ThisIsJimmy to repair it, so he is going to be able to jump right back into this bunker instead of just salvaging it, as he might have been able to do. Oh, but the bunker's just out of range to hit the hatchery, so he does have to jump out, making these Reapers a little bit vulnerable every time he does want to put some damage onto the hatchery. KatZ's Zergling speed is nearing completion, so he just has to buy a little bit more time with these Queens, trying to keep this hatchery from taking too much damage. You can see he does have some of the Zerglings waiting by the side, not taking any damage until that speed has finished. But once the second bunker is up, this is going to be really tough for KatZ, because if he does manage to clear out the first bunker, he can just immediately retreat to the second one. Oh, and he does bait the Zerglings in before speed's done, so he's able to kill all the Zerglings Really well executed bunker rush here so far by Jimmy. Second bunker is out of range of the hatchery as well, was not able to get that up fast enough. So that's going to be the good news for KatZ. The Reapers will still have to be vulnerable every time they move out to try and hit this hatchery. So he's not going to just automatically lose his expansion. As you look back into Jimmy's base, you can see him transitioning out of this nicely, while KatZ is still struggling to try and shut this down.
I'm very impressed with Jimmy's opening here. He's used 4 Reapers total. He had lost 1, but just 4 Reapers and a handful of 2 SCVs. He's already sniped 2 Queens as well as a handful of Zerglings. He has a complete wall up, has his second command center already done and converted to an orbital, producing SCVs. Jimmy's played an amazing micro game here, being able to do all of that as well as continue on his production. So I'm very, very impressed here. KatZ is under huge fire. If he loses this hatchery, he's going to be in a terrible way. He's throwing more and more Zerglings at this bunker. He's surrounding the bunker, even though it's full of Reapers. SCVs are taken down. The bunker will go down here. Jimmy's going to lose those Reapers, of course. The second bunker's trying to salvage, but Jimmy has done incredible damage to KatZ. He's basically denied tons of KatZ's any sort of mining expansion there. He's slowed down all drone production. He's almost neck and neck with him, and has already transitioned onto his tier 2 tech, getting his factory onto the tech lab at his own base there. So this is Jimmy with a great opening. He just needs to stay in control here, make sure he does stay in the game as KatZ is throwing down his layer. Just needs to be very, very careful here, as it's very neat transitioning. He's doing it properly, but KatZ is going to be in a good way with that Baneling nest, I think, there.
Yeah, and the Baneling Nest is the source of the uh-oh. As you can see, Jimmy still hasn't lifted this orbital command over, and that's going to be a relatively intelligent decision, because after doing that much damage with the Reapers, a little bit more than he might have expected, he's got to be really careful about the counterattack from KatZ, and that's probably why he hasn't lifted this orbital command over yet. He does have a siege tank out yet, working on siege mode. If he can get 1 or 2 siege tanks in good positioning, and then focus fire those Banelings with the tanks, he's going to be able to shut down any sort of a Baneling bust. But of course, if he lifts his orbital command down, he is going to have to weaken his wall in order to be able to defend that as well. So really intelligent decision here by Jimmy to delay this while he waits for KatZ. If something doesn't come soon, we'll probably see him lift that down. But the Zerglings are quite a bit in number. Baneling speed is on the way for KatZ, and because of the fact that he is waiting so long to go, you can see Jimmy is setting up a defensive position down the ramp. KatZ sees that, and that's going to be his cue to move, as he did have a really well-placed Zergling there for scouting. Right as he knows that Jimmy's wall is at the weak point, he's setting up to go for this bust, but he still hasn't actually morphed any Banelings, instead researching burrow and energy for infestors. KatZ is going back to his trademark burrowed infestor backdoor strategy.
Yeah, very curious. He's getting the infestors up right now, and he's going to be able to backdoor Jimmy for sure. But the one thing I noticed about KatZ, he did make the natural expansion, the layer there, and I understand, of course, he does want to get the layer, get the life in there, but he's got to be very careful as it's supporting his tier 2 tech, of course. I guess the idea behind that is if he does lose that layer, he's probably going to be losing the game anyway. So, but it's generally a little bit of a safer play, because that layer can be sniped by just a few marauders or a nice drop that's coming in from Jimmy right now in the northern part of KatZ's base. KatZ spotted it really early on with the Overlord. Jimmy doing a great unload though on the low ground behind the rock, so he cannot be harassed by the Zerglings. Very interesting. He's going to go back at elevator up as the spine crawler does get back in there. The Zerglings are going to surround and not going to allow any marine damage here. So Jimmy is just getting shut down in terms of his drops. Not able to produce anything out of that. He has gotten the low ground on, though. As you mentioned, there is no Baneling zone, although KatZ did get the Baneling nest down. The Baneling speed upgrade has been researched. KatZ is low on gas, I guess, is the one thing. He does have that Spire starting right now. He has 4 gases saturated, but he's definitely running a little bit low on overall gas. So didn't want to convert any Banelings. There they come now as the Infestors are coming as well. The Infestors do have the Pathogen glands, which give them the immediate ability to do a fungal growth, which is just awesome. But we'll see how KatZ does this. As you mentioned, this is an old school KatZ Zergling Infestor into Mutalisk, so
Yeah,
or even into Broodlords actually.
If KatZ does what I think he's doing, where he gets the infestors out, he burrows them, and he tries to get them into his opponent's base. This is something he's done to ThisIsJimmy a number of times in the past, so he's not a stranger to this strategy at all, but it does not look like KatZ is going for that particular variety of this infestor play. Used to see that quite a lot from him. We do have instead a lot of Baneling bombs in the middle of the map. He's only covering one of the watchtowers though. Another thing you were talking about, this low health lair, KatZ did get a good number of creep tumors out, so he could bring this queen back and just start transfusing that lair if he so chooses somewhat soon, and that would bring it up to full health relatively quickly. But instead we see 2 hatcheries going down at the gold, another one going down at his third base over here, so KatZ dropping a lot of unit production, trying to go for a really economic mid-game. You can see his worker count has finally surpassed Jimmy, and Jimmy hasn't started a third base yet. So if he can hold on just a little longer, wait for these hatcheries to pop up, then he'll be in a relatively good position. But if you look at Jimmy, you can see his siege tank counts at a really high number. He's got a lot of Marines. We should be seeing him moving out relatively soon. He's still moving around the map with his dropship, being really nice with these drops, unloading and then loading back up into this medevac before the Marines can take any damage. But here comes the infestors. If he can get a fungal growth on this, then this entire drop is dead. But when you compare the fungal used on this small number of units to that huge number in his natural, that's going to be a good trade for Jimmy.
Yeah, absolutely. They're also using the infestors here does tip his hand, so Jimmy's got to be aware now of this infestor play, knowing that it's been used on him before. So hopefully he does take account of that. He has not much detection, no ravens out of course or anything like that. So the Starport doesn't even have an add-on yet. So he's producing strictly just tank marine. No upgrades from either side. Jimmy actually going to be +1 bio very shortly just on the attack damage, but nothing else. I noticed KatZ did make 2 Evo chambers, but hasn't actually started producing from them, whether he was canceling or planning on just doing it later. Of course, he did add on the Evo chambers, but didn't really
he has level 1 armor, but Jimmy finally moving out. He did get a scan off and got all of those Banelings in the center. There's 3 more, and he'll scan those as well. Well done here by Jimmy, but really nice fungal there by KatZ. Going to weaken up a lot of these units and drain those medevacs almost down to empty energy. So now Jimmy is just going to slowly push forward. This attack might be a little bit too late by Jimmy, as KatZ is now producing from all these hatcheries. He could easily give up this gold expansion, just rally these hatcheries away, make a lot of units, and might still be able to run this over. Because he's just gonna, if you watch his food count, it's just shooting up so quickly right now. His food just completely skyrocketing. Nice fungals by KatZ, hitting these Marines again. If he can get another one, a lot of those are gonna die. There goes the secondary fungal, killing a lot of the Marines, really softening up these units. If you check out the medevac energy, they're starting to get quite low. Oh, more Marines dying to the siege tank shots on the Broodlings. This is really painful by Jimmy, and KatZ is really holding this off with low cost, mainly just using infestors, and buying him a lot of time to get even more units out. Looks like he's going to move and try and break this while half the siege tanks are on siege, running over all the siege tanks. The infestors do get shot down before they can fungal, and a couple Banelings do barely make it into the Marines. So this entire army is going to get wiped out by Jimmy, and that's going to be a lot of trouble, because KatZ now has still 4 hatcheries with a lot of drones, and Jimmy is still only on 2 bases, so he really needs to get out there and do some damage to KatZ before he can macro up again, but I'm not sure if he's going to be able to hit this timing window fast enough.
Yeah, you're absolutely right earlier there. Jimmy did give it away. He needed to be in KatZ's face with at least 2 or 3 tanks. When all KatZ had were Zerglings and researching infestors at that point, he only had 2 bases. Not like the powerhouse he is now. KatZ is on 4 hatch. His 5th one just got cancelled at the gold again, but still 4 hatches. And he's able to produce at just huge rates. You can see these fungal growth just tearing apart these Marines. I've never seen this before. One of the infestors had 23 kills and was rank Metamorph. So that's the first Metamorph Zerg, I'm not gonna lie, I've ever seen before. So that's amazing. I got a good screenshot of that. This is definitely the first occurrence of a first time I've seen. So KatZ is going to lose this gold base here, but he's definitely rallying correctly. 4 Broodlords in production, as I thought, so he is going to get onto Broodlords. That's going to hopefully put away ThisIsJimmy's push. ThisIsJimmy just tanked Marine Medevac. It's a pretty standard composition, but it has been solved, unfortunately, by the Baneling. Obviously, the use of Banelings and Mutalisk we've seen in GSL.
Actually backdooring Jimmy, going into the natural with a huge number of Zerglings. Yeah. going straight for the mineral line. Some of them going after these Marines as well, but he's going to wipe out almost all of the SPs here. That'll cue Jimmy to attack in, but there's a bunch of Broodlords here waiting. A couple Infestors here as well. Baneling's going to blow up most of these Marines, and that in combination with the Mutalisks and Broodlords means this entire army is going to get wiped out. You can see KatZ is actually winning at the natural of Jimmy as well. Jimmy just waited far too long to move out after a really nice Reaper bunker harassment in the early game. Just gave KatZ way too much time to recover. It looks like KatZ will be taking this first game with relative ease here in just a moment, as his natural basically isn't mining and his main is completely mined out. We look at Jimmy's income, it's down at 100. Here comes the rest of KatZ's forces slowly pushing their way across the map behind these Broodlords, and once the Broodlords arrive, there's not going to be much that Jimmy can do, as he doesn't have really any Vikings. One on the way. There are still some Mutalisks on the field to deal with that, so should be seeing GG here any moment from Jimmy, and then we'll be going through the map selection process for game number 2.
Absolutely. Great game played by Jimmy, but just held on a little too long there. You gotta stay in KatZ's face. Do not let him play that macro game. So we'll see you guys in just a sec for the second game of this best of 3.